So all the coolant and oil have mixed together, and it's quite disturbing. So this is a 2015 Chevy Silverado 5.3 V8, 145,000 miles. And we're gonna get a better look, but yeah, the radiator has failed. And so all the coolant is now mixing with the antifreeze, which is mixing with the oil. Coolant, antifreeze, oil. It's not good. The tranny did not suffer any issues. So this is a common thing. So the best part are the upside down bolts that GM puts in this radiator bar. So we're going to take those out. We're going to take the air box out. And you got to have the right tools. Unplug your mass. Take the whole intake thing out. Very carefully wiggle these off the back. They don't like to come off. You just wiggle it off once you've pushed that down. Take that out. We're gonna remove this. Okay, so now we're gonna take the intake out of the vehicle, and hopefully it comes out. And we can get that out of there. These are those screws everyone likes to squish down until the the ears crack off. So yeah, hopefully my first video that's not a short video, in the sense that it's not in the short category. Yeah, hopefully this will lead us to some views, and we're gonna get a new setup. We'll turn this into a YouTube studio. But yeah, we have plenty of content. We just need to film it, so that's the new plan. Get it all down. But you know, diagnosing this concern, it can be a little head gasket, kind of appears like a head gasket. But the oil intercooler failed and leaked all the oil into the coolant, all the coolant into the oil. However, it's very low on oil, so it looks like it just leaked oil into the coolant. So yeah, I take this out, set this down, take that out. Set that with your other GM quality parts. We close toolbox drawers for safety. We park vehicles in parking spots backwards for safety. I know it doesn't look bad, but when you shine the light across it, you can see it is very due for service, and there is some of that crap in there. Get this off next. I loosened it. You don't want to crack it. That will give you mass airflow codes. This will crack right here. So I have seen that at the GM dealership I work for. One little oops, and then that's it. So yeah, just a little back and forth on that. It really goes a long way. Get that off. Do an intake service when it's due for it. You already have, watch out for these. That's the easiest thing to break off the whole thing. Give you a lean code instantly. Clean that out. I mean, really, while you're here, you can see the throttle position sensor. But that nasty coolant stuff that had boiled over right out of the bottle. I mean, it's so... It's bad. Anyway, so we do all that because the fan is coming out. The whole radiator is actually coming out, but the fan is coming out first, and then the top side. So take this gearbox out to get the upside down bolt that is behind that. There it is. Upside down. Why does GM do that? Because, But there are two on each side. So there's that one that we could see with the cam. And then there's this one in between here. Right in this area. Up top. There's a bolt there. And there's a bolt there. Let's get those out. So yeah, I had the right one. But that's the stuff you gotta have. Cornwell. This is an offset wrench, so I don't know if you can see that that's actually twisted. So now I have this as a flat grip, like that on the wrench. So this go here, and then this go on bolt like this. And then if it doesn't move, it's because you got it going the wrong way. But you can see where I am. I'm in the radiator support. And the bolt is in there upside down. So, to make life easier on myself, I am going to take out... I got my cameras going so I can see if someone comes in. My Bunker Hill security camera. And then we have a camera in the office. But so yeah, like I said, if you turn it, it doesn't come out, you're going the wrong way. But just get that started. If you have an air ratchet, some people do, put it in there, see what happens. You do have to get this obnoxious washer fluid screw out right here, because what happened is the washer water bottle tube is in the way, so I always put my bolts where I know I can find them. That's what we're doing currently. And my hand was getting cold, so I had to put my glove on. But yeah, if you just kind of like wiggle this out of the way. The other thing you might want to do is take some of these bolts out of this thing. That may help get that out. And once that's out, that's kind of like the most inefficient part of the whole job. Okay, is putting these bolts back in when you're done, because I think personally the two inside ones is overkill, but GM during testing process it probably determined that this little 10 mil on the inside of both ends of the radiator support was necessary. We don't really know. What I'm finding is the one time I did an AC condenser on a truck like this, how the inefficiency comes from these 4 bolts. There's no other description of loss of time. If that's where, one side of the truck, which I can't see, the sun is reflecting in. If one side of the truck has that as an issue, what does the other side have? And so it looks like I had bumped the filter on the cam. Let's take a break, hold on. The worst part about jobs like this is you'll just get comfortable just setting your tools everywhere, and then they fall in these holes. But yeah, if you can get, like you said, I got my hand cocked here. If you can get your hand, you use that, I'm telling you, that offset ratchet flex head wrench. So it's 2 of the mystery bolts. Because it's a mystery of, like, are you actually touching it with your wrench or not? And I took the inside one out first, because this thing, I kept hitting my hand on it, and I was like, come on, guys. I thought I bought a full 4-hour lift ticket. And so it is a fine-tooth wrench. But the same thing, you cock that hand back, and if you get it at this angle, it's not that big of a deal. Sorry, the camera was sideways. That is the best air compressor you can buy for $400 at Harbor Freight. I'm just saying. Negative 20 degree operating temp. And so once you get these bolts out, I'm telling you, there's also that 113, which we're gonna show you how to get that out. So that one I already loosened it. And that was no big deal. Now see, the inefficiency is gonna stem from a bolt that I can barely get a wrench into. Now, I did watch a video where someone said, after doing this job for this exact reason, a failed oil cooler on a Silverado 5.3, that they felt 3 individual coolant flushes were required. I don't know if you need to flush it 3 times, honestly, but if you flushed all that stuff out once, that may help, obviously. There's also, I'm just gonna send it, which, you can see full send. We had a thermal event that resulted in a loss of oil pressure, an overheating condition, and a very concerned vehicle driver. Operator. Obviously there's preventative maintenance, so we're going to change an air filter, we're going to clean the throttle, but first we got to pull this radiator support out. So I just wanted to take a minute to show how straightforward this is going to be from here. We got one bolt, we're going to unplug the cooling fan in one big plug. We're going to take all the little Jiffy tie clips out of the radiator, and the fan and everything is coming out with the radiator. So let me get to it. Now my buddy at GM, when I worked for the GM dealership, he was doing radiators all day, every day, and I kept asking him, like, how are you doing so many of these radiators? Like, what is the problem? Well, it turns out he knew the problem was with the oil cooler, and it would show signs of a leak. But you're looking for oil, not coolant. And most people are looking for coolant, so they're just not finding the leak. Now, like, real quick, before we get a good up-close shot of that leak, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a soaked set of the fins. So when that oil is all soaked in like that, and you can see a little on the case where it sweated, but that's a pretty good view. The top fins are black, the lower fins are clear of debris and oil soaked in there. And just so happens that's the oil inlet right there, that tube. And it goes right in where the leak is. And coincidentally enough, boils out very close. But all this stuff has got to be flushed. And someone may have changed this before. So we're going to check. But if it had been changed, it would be for the same reason, I suppose, that it had already failed under warranty. But that clamp is not really what you're going to see on these GM products factory. You would see like this upper clamp, and then that's a factory hose to radiator to engine mark. You know, this lower contraption down here has been known to fail at the T. But you can tell that's not a factory clamp. So at some point, some reason, some why, they adjusted that. We checked all the belts. Water pump is relatively old. You know, it has a GM stamp on it. It's quite a unit, honestly, quite a unit. You can do, I believe, just the impeller, not the whole housing, but we would also want to do this thermostat. If we've got no record of that, it's all bugged up or something. What I find, again, interesting, like when you check fasteners, how do you know no one's been in this cooling system? That's a very shiny ECT temp sensor. There's a washer under this bolt, and then there's no washers. Hey, how you doing? Back, taking this battery tray loose, because I gotta wiggle the washer fluid bottle. And the only way that's gonna happen is with some clearance. So take this out. Looks like I will have to get some software to compile my videos together, because every time I hit the record button and then the customer comes in and my phone locks, then I keep losing my place in the video. But I do want to do my first actual video and not just a short. Because I do this all day, every day. I have my own shop, my own place, and I'm on Google. I'm a diagnostic master technician. And so what I do is fix things that other people may not actually be able to fix. Specialize in Toyotas, specialize in Priuses, specialize in Lexus hybrids as well. And so if you see this bolt I'm taking out right now, there are some clips and things. I'm gonna watch those. But get that offset ratcheting wrench in there. Get that ratcheting wrench in there. And it still doesn't come out because there's not enough room. So sometimes the inefficiency also will stem from playing which bolt do I actually take out anyway. Just take all of them out. How about that? Now, if I remember right, I have to do all that because the condenser and all those things, they're in the radiator. And so you just want to do this right. If you don't do it right, you're gonna break parts of the car. And if you actually look, I forgot to take this bolt out. Was it my fault? I mean, I'm the guy with the camera, so I would blame it on the cameraman, but he's not here right now. So how they get you here? They put this notch here. And this thing just doesn't want to come out. However, it has to come out to allow the access you need to remove that screw. And so I think we're just going to do it the very hard way without taking all the stuff off that I had originally planned. Just going to have to do it between those two little tiny points. Let's see if it's not even enough to turn the wrench. Not gonna work that way. However, maybe I could get this mini ratchet in there, so I'm going to try that to see. Now this is just to take the support out. So once the support is out, it does become much easier to service the vehicle. But trying to do it blind, I will tell you this is hard. Put this down here, so I did get it to turn the bolt. So it started to come out. So got this in here. Try to fit a hand down in there. gonna try it with a really long extension. Now that my hand is all marked up and aching, I'm gonna try putting it up through from the bottom to see. We're just gonna take a break here. The radiator support is out, and it turns out there was 6 of those bolts upside down holding it in. So yeah, on to the oops. Those don't belong in there. All dirty again. Pair of pliers to get back my pair of pliers. Other than that, we got a pole headlight, folks. Okay, so yeah. And what were we doing the first time? Trying to get a hose off of here. Just trying to get the hose off of here. That hose off, put that up there. They're labeled front and side. Pretty straightforward. Once you pull that off, pull the rest of the stuff off, holding it in there. You know, pull this upper hose. There's pretty much no coolant in anyway. Sorry, set the alarm off. That was good. So yeah, that's not ideal for hose clamps. Now get to the tear down stage, and yeah, thermostat is totally full of the stuff, and it's unfortunate, but we can't just slap a radiator in it and then be like, oh yeah, it's fine. That ECT that looked new, look at the cavity in there. I mean, oh. And so the engine, the upper radiator hose was totally garbage. We might even be able to see in that radiator. to give you an idea of like the type of failure we had. You can see it. It's bad. So that, that water pump, that'll be the next part that comes out. But my thought process is to try to flush some stuff out with the hose off. See how much of a mess I can make. I'm going to hook up a dummy radiator, so I'll show you that. I've got the Subaru radiator over here. And so we might plumb into this and try to flush some of that crap out. That's really all I can do for them as far as a flush. You're going to need a flush tool, which I can invent one. But yeah, this failure here in the unit caused all of this. Could it have been caught sooner? Probably. We're going to catch a lot more of these. This summer we're going to see a lot more of these. This happened in the wintertime on a big vacation trip for the customer. And we continued. I got the radiator out. I'm going to flush all this stuff now. Yeah. So we're going to flush from there. Then the heater hoses will be replaced. The heater core will be flushed separate. So like a lot of people don't believe what the real issue is, but this is your oil cooler on your Silverado. This has failed and it's leaking fresh oil into the engine. And it's leaking it into the cooling system through the radiator, right? So oil is in the oil, but oil is also in the coolant. I don't have coolant in the oil. I have already flushed it out with the motor running through these two lines, and I get straight oil. Then I drained it before the pressure was too low. So we're gonna flush it right now. And we're just going to hope and pray that we can get all the stuff out. It took a while. It did have to go on the lift. Like I had started back there. So now I've swapped this car for this car. And I went to move it. And the oil cooler hose was not pinned in all the way when I went to move it. And I lost a lot of oil. But I had no coolant in the oil. So one whole bag of Speedy Dry later. And then, so now I'm going to flush everything. I've got an old heater hose here I'm going to use off of a GM product. Gotta love me some GM. So just gonna pop the connection on like that, run this hose down there. Now I'm gonna go get the bucket. We're just gonna like feed it straight down between stuff. So I'm gonna go get the bucket. We're planning to make a mess. We're not expecting to, we're planning to. So let me get my Harbor Freight bucket. And then there was Junior. Get my bucket and pump it out. So yeah, the biggest problem with this job is just the mess that it makes. Who wants to clean up a big old coolant mess? So, this customer is very fortunate for us to be here. They were happy that we were available and that we were not ChatGPT fix my Silverado. Yeah, we specialize in Toyota, Lexus. I've worked for Chevrolet personally at the Chevy dealership and have never seen this problem before. Especially on a Silverado. So we gotta engage the lock. Pick up a couple tools here. So we're getting a little carried away, you know. Really, so if the job is, you know, the truck comes in and the radiator's bad, right? Just to show everyone how many benches and things I have kind of torn apart at the same time. This is still all Silverado stuff. Just I've got the wiper tray out of this because I'm going to do brake system control module. So I'm swapping the silver module car to the red car. So I'm going to flush this out. And I'm going to get my light set up. Get my bucket set up. We got to move a couple things to make this work. God, this is a mess. So I lift it up a little bit higher. I'm going to bring the hose over. As long as Harbor Freight bucket. It almost fits. So I got the bucket not where I want it. So I got the bucket here. We're gonna try to catch stuff. It's really the truck needs to go in the air more. Put that up and then we're gonna wipe up some stuff. Get this for the lower, this for the back. And I'm gonna make a mess. I already know that. That's okay, but like I said, if I don't have to make a big mess, that would be ideal, folks. Okay, we have plenty of hose. I don't have something shorter. How many people do you know not only have a boat this big in their workspace, but in metal jig? Anyway, so yeah, I'm not just a mechanic. I've also got this fancy Saab in here, and then the landlord has his big boat. I think I'm gonna get a shorter hose next time. Sounds like there's probably ice in this. I'm gonna find out. It feels like there's ice in it. Holy. It's heavy. Yeah, ice was coming out of it. So, we may have to go get a different hose. Got my safety glasses on, I can't see anything. That's the pressure washer. Pressure washer hose. Wow. I think there's one here, but it's the pressure washer. So we really need a hose. It's not all frozen. And how about that? That's an air hose. Okay, got a hose here. It looks a little sketchy. It's kind of like pieced together. Oh, I'm just gonna try to see this hose. Let's try this out. Somebody brought the shopping cart in. They thought we needed it. Okay, so now we're gonna put this hose back over there so it's frozen. And this is why I only rent one side of the garage. There we go. We got some water coming out of it. You can hear the ice in it. No bueno. Back to work. What do we get hung up on? Got a shot. Let's take this. Get that unscrewed. Let's cook it up, folks. Coming back, hooking her in. Oh my God, these suck so much. So it's just to kind of help show, like, you know, what is gonna come out of this thing when I do start flushing. Quite a lot, actually. And so I need one more hose to do this, the best way to do this. We'll try it without the extra hose first. So we'll just stick this in the bucket. Stick that in the bucket. It's gonna make a big mess. I already know, but if we don't try it, I like how there's some ice in there. So we're flushing it. I gonna have to flush it like a lot. Probably gonna flush it right through the water pump. Just to see like what's gonna come out, and we're getting water. So that's good. And my phone's getting wet, which is even gooder. Honestly, we'll take care of the water. I mean, it's gonna ruin all my stuff. It's gonna get everywhere. So let's put something down to try to absorb it. A better idea. Take the thermostat out. Take that out. Put it right down in there. Do what you can. Flush the stuff out. You're gonna have to get this fixed and heat it up hot. Because it's just not all gonna come out. It's just not reality. It's almost filled the throttle body with water here. Alright, now we're going to attempt to flush the heating system out. So set your return hose like that. See, I started to get it out. I'm just not catching very much water here. That heater hose, it's not flushing. full of water and whatnot, we'll shut the water off. That is some ice cold water. Hands are soaked and cold. The water is everywhere, so I'm gonna get some Speedy Dry. Even for water. But the only real way we're gonna flush this is by honestly getting it hot. That stuff has gotta be removed to do this. I mean, treat it just like coolant. So just pretend, you know, you got coolant all over the floor. Well, you want to dry it up the best you can. It's everywhere. It got kind of everywhere. So I'm gonna do some things with the wet bag tomorrow. Just kind of suck up, you know, all the water I just got all in. Let me get my light. Yeah. So, I mean, there's no real great benefit to making a mess. However, it's a simple thing, like somebody has to do it. And so, no, it's not perfect, but I'm telling you, it's too cold to flush it out the right way. So the heating system, we definitely need to disconnect at the heating system. I got some out. You can see, like, I had it coming out. It looks like Venturi theory. I've got it coming out of the hose there. If we could get a good angle of that. And so what I did was I flushed it, and so now it's just like trickling out. It's hard to have heat if that's what's going on. It's hard to say if someone did the stop leak. Is that what we're actually seeing, is just a little stop leak, a little coolant oil? Hard to say, but a lot of people have said, well, it ruins the bearings, right? There's hardly little to no condensation in this cap. And then inside here, honestly, we're hoping it's okay at this point. There's really no way to tell until I replace the radiator, the thermostat housing, and then flush it out. I mean, that's really where we're at. And then I've got to put what I drained out in my buckets here. But yeah, this is a really good start for this project for now, because what we're gonna do is just continue, you know, flush and flush and flush and flush. Well, actually, what I recommend is if you take the heater hoses off and you put them on there backwards, and then hook the hose up and try to flush them out. You could try it like this, but if you put it on there backwards and then slide the hose, you know, kind of over it. But we got quite a lot coming out of the hoses, which is what we were trying to do you know, get them to flush through. And just start with that and just say, hey, is this gonna work out for this person and their repair and all that? Because personally, using the old water pump, it's not ideal, I get that, but we've got to do something, and so we're gonna change just the pump, but not the whole housing. So like the pump is serviceable, so I'm gonna pull that apart and get a new pump going. But we're getting there, so tomorrow hopefully you'll see it running. Gotta get these hoses flushed out, gotta have the coolant reservoir flushed out, so we're gonna keep flushing. Yeah, we gotta try. If you don't try, you don't know till you try, so it's worth a try. We'll let you know how it cracks out in the next couple shots here. Are we doing anything? I think we are. It's not ideal, but listen, if it works, it works. And that creates vacuum. When you put vacuum on the lower hose inlet, when you put vacuum there, it puts vacuum here on this. This one holds, but yeah, you just set it like this. With your vacuum and your thermostat in there to give you that air pressure. And you can get it on here. It's still getting new coolant hoses, but the point is, this is helping ruin my vacuum, which is okay with me, because that's why I buy things anyway, just to ruin them. So yeah, that's why I wanted to show, is that it's getting better, and then if we did a hot flush with some solution afterwards, it is going to contaminate the radiator. So if we could avoid contaminating a brand new part, let's see what we got. I did use it on the floor to clean the floor as well. Try to suck up some of this crap that I spilled. Just to prevent some standing water, you know, back here. It'd be nice to edit this video to get it posted, my first real long video. So even though I took some off the floor, you see I did get a lot of the stuff out. It's not ideal to use your brand new vacuum just to ruin it, but then that's just a piece of cardboard or something that was in there. Look, it's very sticky stuff. Holy. What in the world have you ever? Now I see, I was like, well, why won't it flush? Look at that. What in the God's earth is that? I think that's some instructions. I probably left stuff in the bucket again. I'm not sure. That's some sludge. Like, it's hard to fight sludge like that. But man. But man, we had to try to fight that sludge. The hose is off the heater core. It's definitely going to give us a better chance at having heat. Because they're not going to have heat with sludge like that in the heating lines. So that's kind of where we're at, is just flush and pray. Flush and pray. Flush it. The heater core, it wasn't working. Came up here, I took both heater hoses off. I put an old one from another GM on backwards. Stuck it down that way. I put shop air in the return side. I had a big blast of stuff come out. Got it tighter. Continued. And I was able to get a lot of this clumpy stuff out of the heater. Basically, once it's all out of the heater, yes, I will have some contamination, but I'm hoping I got a lot of it. This really did the trick. So, flushing it. Have to hold it just right. So what I would do then is swap it and go back the other side, and then you put your rag over it to keep it out of your face. So if I set the camera just right, if that was even a possibility. Now we're hoping that this actually fixed it, because you really I mean, other than that, you're taking the whole dash apart and it's getting a heater core. That's kind of where we're at. So now I'm gonna try the vacuum on there. I can tell you what, just looking at it, it's already cleaner. But if we don't get it all, it won't work. So what I did was I stuck the funnel in there and did it that way. So I had this in here. This is your inlet, but I wasn't getting any air through it. So now we'll try it. Let me shut the air compressor off. We got vacuum again, folks. It's pulling my finger in there. Let's try the other side. It's not as good as we wanted. I almost just lost my phone. Oops, that just went in there. Almost just lost my phone in a bucket of water. Underneath the I think we're gonna toss that. I've had enough screwing around with that. And we're gonna toss everything when we're done. Except the salad. We're not gonna toss the salad. I'm happy with it. I would like to flush it with water still, just to make sure I got it all. This thing is so gross. That's why I want to do this outside. But it's 17 degrees, so it's kind of hard. You basically are just going to take a chance, right? Because you're never going to get all of the stuff out without doing a hot flush. It's just impossible. So we're going to try. Okay, so finally, after several hours, the heater core has been successfully flushed out. The stuff that came out of it was terrible. Terrible. Okay, so I'm changing the water pump. I'm going to drop the truck down. When I was flushing it, I used an old hose put in there, and I just blasted all that stuff out of the heater core. So I got good flow pretty much on the whole system. However, we need to address a couple things. And then there still is the hot flush. So it's not a hot flash, but like a hot flush. You want to get the water pump bolts out. So once you get all of the 6 water pump bolts out and loose, inspect them. You know, they are really thin little cheesy bolts that snap off. They really don't need to be torqued that much. So don't over torque. Make sure you put these on by hand. I prefer a 1/4 inch wrench when I do these. Oh, that's good. The bolt is not even loose, but it's loose. So I wasn't really sure what the deal is with this bolt. But look at the corrosion. So, I mean, that one should be replaced. You can use some M10 hardware bolts. So you just grab a hold of that, pull her out. You can see why why would we reuse it, you know? See all the hidden stuff she didn't know was there till you pulled the pump out. So I'm gonna get the vacuum. I gotta get the piece of the vacuum that's outside. Set this up here. My whole entire shop is so gross. In all the 3.5 years I worked here, in all the years of my career as a technician, I've never made this big of a mess from just one vehicle repair. And this is my first full-on video where we're going to show you everything. I would call it an uncut clip because unless you see the raw situations you're facing here, and I mean, look, it's just leaking all over my shop again. This is a lose-lose situation for keeping the shop clean. So I can get one of these buckets. Stick it in there. It's an in-spirit bucket. Well, yeah, I mean, what was that? Sounded like my little red... Oh, it was my quick disconnect for the heater line. And yeah, it's the plastic one that they say is the only one that works. That is the only one that works. And you can get a master set of those at Harbor Freight. I was just at Harbor Freight this morning, so I bought this. Is going to help when I do the fast flush. We're going to try to get everything to boil into the funnel. I got the master... Got the master hot funnel kit with all adapters. I also got just the spill-proof kit. Just buy stuff because, like, I'm always getting cars stuck out there. I only use my snap-on ratchet half the time. So having a knockoff snap-on ratchet from, like, this distance, it's almost snap-on quality. You can never have enough of these. It doesn't matter what anyone says. These are like 3-time use pliers and you throw them away. And then for diagnostic purposes, I can never have enough of these on hand. Do you know how many of these I blow when we're testing loads? So yeah, just some stuff. Got 2 free buckets. These are the best cutoff wheels. Like, I use O'Reilly cutoffs. But just stuff you gotta have. For the truck, the radiator is coming over from another hub. So that'll be here in about 40 minutes. But you gotta, you know, if you're here and you got this kit and it has everything you'll ever need in your entire life, just put the stuff on the vehicle. The thermostat box has new thermostat bolts in it. You get your gasket, get your OEM spec impeller pump. You just put the gasket on. I use aviation seal on that backside. Got an upper hose. We're going to reuse all the clamps. I got a lower hose assembly. The heater hoses I was able to flush. And then we're going to change the oil. But this is that fast cooling system cleaner that we're going to put in. We're going to do a hot flush. Parts just arrived. So we'll have parts here, which is good because I've got other cars to work on. I've only worked on this truck like a good 4 or 5 days, but We're gonna try to reuse the old ones, but we'll see. So yeah, the final part of the parts order had just arrived, which is helpful. I don't want, you know, to just be like in go-go mode and then be waiting for that radiator. So we got what we need, but is it gonna work? I don't know. Just gonna use the heater hoses as a last resort if we have no heat. I'm planning on taking those back. Oh yeah, we got some stuff. Harbor Freight. Got some stuff. O'Reilly Auto. Somebody gave me this. I'm pretty sure they got it at the dump yesterday. So yeah, just what I need. Not really. I've got that. That's way more of a shovel than I'll ever need. Got my hatch cover in the office. I need to put that back, but I was just out here listening to this song by Key Glock. She ready. He said, "She ready spaghetti. She ready spaghetti," and it was hilarious. T100, and we are open because we got bills to pay. Damn it. Yeah, I'd like to just sit around and watch YouTube all day and, you know, handicap sports and things like that, but mama need a house, baby needs some shoes, and times were getting hard, so guess what I'm gonna do? Hustle, hustle, hustle hard. Made by Jamal Murray. So yeah, if you have a 2015 Silverado 1500 5.3 with the tow package, with the oil cooler, with the transmission cooler, this is the part I feel like will help get you back on the road. I'm carrying the radiator here. Set it down. So yeah, what did I spend this morning? So basically this morning on all these things, you know, for just like the 6 gallons of coolant, the 2 5-quart jugs of oil, the filter, we're gonna get an air filter as well, the cooling system cleaner, the water pump kit, hoses, the bucket, of course, the straps, that's just in case things get out of hand. We're up to like, I think 11, 12, 1300. You know, there's a couple $100 worth of parts here for my Corolla. There's a brake pedal, position sensor we're gonna return. This is Silverado stuff that's gonna go back in. When you're at this point right here, it feels kind of nice. So you just see, these are deep, like deep cavities that you wouldn't know. And so for that, I'm just gonna get the vacuum, because that's why it's so goopage. I still think the hot flush, I've said it probably 50 times in the video I'm making today, the hot flush is like the only way this is gonna really work out for this customer. Because as soon as we get this fired up, this sludge stuff, it's gonna end up somewhere. And the whole housing, you know, is way more money, and it goes way down in the engine. I mean, it's just, oh, it's gross. So I'm gonna get the vacuum. I think now that the pump is out, I can get more crud out. We're just gonna pray. flush and pray, flush and pray. I've had a lot of fun doing this for some reason. I'm not really sure why, because this is, like I said, not only the biggest mess I've ever made, kind of the biggest, like, is it even going to work challenge. I would just like to get this customer back home. We're up here in Maine. They just want to get home. Like, it's a lot of money to put into a truck to just drive it one time, but if I flush it right and they maintain their coolant and they flush it when they get home, hey, it might work out. So just kind of getting ready to go in that speed of, you know, putting things back together. So when you are putting things back together, it does go way quicker than taking it apart. However, that's how mistakes can be made. A lot of the time, if you're taking something apart, you do want to make sure that even if you didn't see any fluid leak out, that you are topping those fluids off. Because the tranny, even though we didn't really see a whole lot leak out of the cooler, it's got to be taken care of. And these also have to go back exactly. Really what I do need, in my opinion, is not to hire another technician, but we need to hire a camera person. And this sucker is right in that elbow, and for some reason did not want to go. Push it with the wrong hand here. But once I got it in, it was fine. I probably blocked the whole shot anyway, but you know, get your heater hoses, get things right. Like I put, you're trying to be efficient in a very inefficient job. Put the bottle back. You know, it's loose. Yeah, it needs a nut holding it in. So keep that in mind. Got my knee pad on top of the grill area so I can climb up in here. So we're hoping to boil most of this up through and bring it to the top. You know, if I got it out of the heater core, I want to keep it out of the heater core. So now I gotta flush the block. We're just gonna try. We're just gonna try here. So let me get my vacuum. I've got the vacuum, but the bucket I put outside. I don't really like the angle of this camera, so when you're on YouTube recording, it uses one camera. There's two cameras on the back of this phone. When you're on video on the phone setting, see, I was trying to get it drained, but it's not. It's just like I'm zoomed in even though I'm really not. It's just like a standard angle that it's using. But I mean, I'm very close to running the engine. I just want to make sure if we spend all this time putting it together, that I don't spend twice as much time taking it apart. Because at this point, we are kind of in the very key moments of this repair, where if we skip a step and a step is overlooked and a step is done wrong, that can be the difference between profiting and not profiting on a job. This is going to be extremely interesting if this works. Okay, get our light going. Yeah, we need a better way to do this is what I would, it's like what I would say about it. It's okay. It's not perfect. A lot more stuff in this than you would have thought. It's getting a lot out. I mean, it's getting almost all of it out. The rag. Saw that coming. still, it's going pretty well. They're cleaning it up. It's a lot of glue. Kind of lose hope with this one. This is so much contamination. I don't know. The heater is not going to keep working for this bad. Really need to get something in there. Flush it over there. It's pretty gross. I mean, the stuff is so thick. We're going to hope that that flush that we're going to do is going to save the day here, folks. This is like substantially worse than we thought it was. where we may need a couple more tries. Sometimes you just do the best you can and it's still not good enough. But do what you can. Don't dwell on it. Don't dwell on it. I think this is one of those ones where when you're working on it, sometimes you'll just say, well, I guess it could always be worse. Sometimes. And hopefully the hot flush is gonna work. I'm almost tempted to bypass the heater while we're doing the hot flush, but then we want the heater flushed, so if it has heat at this point, it's gonna be like an absolute miracle that this stuff just doesn't get pumped right back in. I mean, we've got to be down to the very end of what's left, because I've been working, but I see a lot in this thing. I mean, I may have to take the whole pump off, the whole coolant housing, and flush the engine block. Just gonna leave that for a worst case scenario right now. I'm gonna wash my hands because I like to put new parts on with clean hands. Just put the new water pump in. Torqued all these bolts with the 1/4 inch. So I just also put the new coolant temp sensor and now the thermostat housing. This is the same idea. This is a little rubber O-ring. So we want to make sure that once we've heard the clicks, then it's time to use the same 1/4 inch wrench with an extension and a deep socket. And we're going to just go till they stop and then torque them. So these are 3 new bolts that they gave us. And so I'm hopeful, like, you know, I guess I'm gonna find out very shortly not only how does it run, but if I have heat. And so it's all gonna get opened up again at the radiator hoses to flush the coolant out. So that's my thoughts. And I'm gonna add a little tranny fluid to it. Got the tranny line there. And so now I want to take the old hose that I'm reusing, which I did not flush these hoses yet, but I plan to. So there went, it's like a piece of the clamp. There's not much flow there. Look at that. Unbelievable. And they machined the hole very off center on purpose so that this housing will split right there. The aftermarket one, the machined hole is dead center. It's a little planned obsolescence there. I believe these two little hoses were already flushed out, but I'm just gonna flush it out one time while I'm standing here. Because if I don't, we might hear about it in a negative, criticizing way. So if you have 6 gallons of coolant, how many are you actually using just to flush it? Oh my gosh. It just shot out a huge clump of goo. Alright, we have a customer in the waiting room. But when I did that quick air blast, hey there, I'll be right with you. Customer was out there that owns this truck, and I just showed him the elephant snot that I blasted through that hose. I didn't think there was anything in it, so imagine what's in the engine still. So I have to say, if I can get 70 to 80%, even 85% of all this crap out of the engine, 15% contamination, I may be able to do something with it. Contamination is just discouraging. I'm gonna tell you, like, it's the incentive is this is a big job, right? So let's do it, let's get it done, let's have a steak after, but it's a little more than that sometimes, right? Like, it's not just get it done and have a steak or a beer. Now we've got to get it done. And we're just hoping we're not wasting our time, the customer's time. We've got a vehicle that could simply just have cost us a lot of labor and time. And, you know, if we misdiagnose or we do something wrong, where's the profit? That's what I want to know. Where's the profit? So, when you're working on cars, there is a difference between, okay, like having a job and then actually making money on that job. Now, I'm at a weird angle here, so I didn't want to pop in there. But it's a no-brainer when you're putting this stuff in and parts are readily available through your local AutoZone, O'Reilly, No Auto Parts Association, if any of those places. And a lot of people joke about Napa. Don't buy anything at Napa because it's 15 to 20% more than what I would pay someone else for a part that could have been made in the same room, right? So keep that in mind. Keep these things in mind, you know. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop a radiator in here. I'm not actually going to drop it, but I'm going to put it back in the vehicle. And then finagle the condenser in, plug all my oil lines in. One of the final things we have to do before actually starting it is an oil change. And the oil change is pretty important at this stage. See, I just took the new radiator out of the box. What's kind of nice with this radiator is that all of the little quick disconnect jiffy ties are already in the fittings, which I think is just wonderful. You do need to put the bushings in still. It does come with new bushings. They are not installed. You also just need to put 2 clips in for the radiator fan. So when you do go to put this together, have the fan on the radiator. So right now I'm putting the fan in. I just don't feel like moving my camera angle. So yeah, we got our fans in. I'm going to put 2 bolts in. There are actually 2 shorter bolts for the fan specifically. So make sure you're using your 2 short bolts. I'm just going to drive them in. Okay, so fan assembly, radiator, ready to be dropped in. But like I said, don't actually drop it. And so, personally, the reason you like bolting it, okay, it needs to come out. Because, do you know why it needs to come out? Because nobody put the bushings on it. So I'm going to put the bushings where they go. In the radiator support. You want to remove this because it's just going to cause you more stress than a marriage, and that's about what I would leave it at. Okay, so just kind of get your radiator in. It's a big one, so if you have an assistant, assist you. I don't have an assistant. I don't make assistant wages here. It's interesting how these things go together from the factory. You don't have to plug everything in. Just get it lined up. The biggest thing you're looking for when you've got the radiator in is to make sure you're not in the wrong spot, first of all, because that's really easy to do. Then you're just going to kind of pop. See, it tips way too far back. You're just going to kind of pop the condenser up and in, if it allows you. Go. What I feel need to do here is actually do like a sideways. And then that will allow you to see what I'm doing without me screwing it all up. So I can tell you the last time I did this, how much fun I had. And I say, you know, I just can't wait till the next one of these things comes in here. Obviously, I'm joking because this is quite difficult. To get that, lower one in there, and this one, same thing. So what happened was the trim that covers the tongs here that stick out of this, they were blocking it, and the radiator is not even where it goes. Okay. You want to make sure it goes in all of them kind of like at the same time. And it looks like we missed that one. But yeah, you just kind of get it lined up. Make sure the radiator is where it goes. And then you should be all set now. Once you get that lined up like that, condenser, you're gonna want to start putting the radiator support back in. Trying to think of one thing you could use, like, personally you could use like a jug, and you could just kind of like wedge this little jug like that. Don't put it on something that's gonna crack, you know, some cheap thing. Just do it kind of like that. It'll give you a little more to deal there. Pause this. So yeah, we're gonna put the radiator support in. Like I said, we're not really sure what to expect. Maybe you've been through this before and you can tell me what I'm in for without me finding out the hard way, but sometimes you just do what you're asked, and that's, will you please try to fix my car? So say it doesn't work, right? Say we go through and we're like, hey, well, you know, we tried it, but it didn't work. Well, we can always take all the parts off and return them. I don't think the customer is going to do that. Can't believe all the mud inside my shop. It'll be nice when I get the floor clean. So that will be nice. Getting the floor clean. I think I'm also just a little over it. If that also makes sense to anyone in the comments or comment section. Tell you what, this was funny to try to get this out. You have to like push this end in. you have to move the coolant bottle and then the radiator, and then see it like goes back in like this. And that's your rad support, and you got your bushings, and it just bolts up right there. So we'll have another interruption any minute now. Someone else will be showing up, which is fine. But I honestly can't wait to edit this, if I edit it, and get it posted and just see if we can find growth for the channel, because I feel like some of this stuff, it deserves a little growth, right? So now we have multiple different things going on here, but one of them being that I haven't heard the furnace turn on once today. So, not sure why, but I just turned it on. And so, we beat on, boats against the current, ceaselessly into the night. So we're gonna get some of my bolts here that I use for the radiator support. I'll tell you that when you do this job, the most inefficient part of a normal Silverado 1500 radiator are these upside down radiator support bolts. That GM just could not make a truck without. And I also am gonna waste a bunch of time putting it together. So we're getting the clamps ready. Clamps ready. A couple more clamps off the old hose. So where I'm at, radiator, condenser, we're just going to do the upper and lower, all the radiator hoses, plug the fans back in, air intake, air box, oil change. Then we're going to start it. Got so much mud and dirt everywhere. So I need those two clamps from this hose. I need to get the old hose, get two clamps off of that. Need pliers. Do this. I only have one set of good pliers. For some reason, I don't know what that reason. Okay, so here's an upper. Just gonna slide that on. Upper. These are Jesus things. You say Jesus, where does that go? It goes flying across the shop and stuff. Almost had it. So it's not even a good idea to waste your time reusing these things because they don't even fit these new hoses. So just do yourself a favor and get one that fits, folks. Just get one that fit, folks. Get one that fit, folks. Other one, I've already got it locked. So I'm gonna slide it down onto the new hose. Then I gotta rotate. Oh, can't rotate because wait. Gotta squeeze it. Charge the flashlight. That's how you know it's been a busy morning, when the flashlight has to recharge. Why things have to be so hard. If I could find the pliers I was using. So we get a lot of distractions, so you have to say, are those distractions worth it? No. The answer is no, they're not worth it. We're just gonna have to do what we said we were doing, which is go out and find the right set of pliers. What's happening? I can't even. Okay. So you have clamps that don't fit the radiator. Because you have hoses that don't fit. Jesus. I just landed in the freaking dirt. And then the pliers hit me in the head. Falling. Try not to fall. It hurts. I just don't have what I need to finish this, so order some hose clamps. Get those sent down. Don't have any hose clamp. There's the one I was looking for that I can guarantee you won't fit either. We'll see. Yeah, no. Just get clamps from O'Reilly's. From the store, I left the door open the whole time, unlocked. That's classic. Clearly no one took anything valuable, because it's all still here. Yeah, priorities and priorities. So make sure you put your invoices where your invoices can be found for tax time. Just got the clamps we needed. Decided to just go to AutoZone, because it's a lot closer. So, okay, I'm going to put the spotlight back on, get some gloves, we're going to do clamps. And I just got these Dermatough, so I don't know if that's like saying for dermatitis, because man, that would really be nice to prevent extra stuff from happening all the time. I need like a tripod for my gloves. A tripod. So let's do the upper one first. I keep trying to set this down in like every place except where it should actually be set down. What was I thinking? I knew there'd be hell to pay. But that crossed my mind a little too fast. Okay, so I prefer these hose clamps. Let me get the red-headed LED light, because you know it's not very well taken care of. So yeah, my thoughts, generally, so that's like way smaller than that. And I guarantee you the one I just opened, this one is even smaller than that. Okay, so yeah, a long video, a lot of staring at the same picture. You know, if you're gonna use any type of automotive video for benefiting yourself, most of the good details come during the boring parts of the video. Most people watching this would have seen that amount of slime, and they would have said, why are you even trying to repair this vehicle? I'm just confident it's really not what we think, that it's not a head gasket, that it's not a blown engine. I'm very confident that I accurately diagnosed this issue to just simply be a radiator that has blown out. They're not something that's gonna last forever, right? Some research, I found most GM products here that are having these issues are all failing the same way. So when the oil filter housing goes bad, or the oil cooler in the radiator goes bad, they're allowing this coolant mixture. So now this is 3/4. So it says 3/4, 19 to 44 millimeter to 1 3/4. And that's on the upper, but the lower hose is much bigger. And so I've got multiple extensions. I've got a very tiny wrench, and then I've got a deep socket. That's taking so much of the torque out of this wrench. I want to be able to feel this in my hand. So like when I'm tightening that, I can feel that it's tight at both ends. Getting a hose clamp right there at the back of the picture onto the lower, my advice is using the big clamp and making sure you pay attention to how close this clamp is to the drive belt, because good judgment comes from experience with bad judgment. So if we I've never seen a hose clamp go on crooked like that before. So we want the extra part of this not pointed at the belt, right? So the excess hose clamp material. And we want to be a good, like a thumbnail, half a thumbnail by the end of the inlet, so that the hose actually covers the inlet. And this one is metal still. You can feel it in your hand. How I'm tightening, I'm not even using the leverage of the wrench. I'm using just bear paw. I would use that method, bear paw, right? And now we need one more small clamp, but instead of buying one more small clamp, I had bought 2 small clamps and 4 large ones. So it's certainly not going back to AutoZone, because this truck should have been running, like, in my mind, 25 to 30 minutes ago. However, I also fell a few minutes ago when I was working. I fell off the top up here, landed on myself, and it wasn't that fun when I fell a few minutes ago. I was up here on the top of the car. What I would say, though, is I got lucky. Those pliers came around, and they only smacked me in the back of the head after I already fell down. See, a lot of people tell me how this clamp is too big, and I get it. It is too big, but I already kind of used the small ones where I wanted to. A lot of people will say, you're not a good mechanic. That might be true. I will tell you what. That might be true. However, am a pretty successful person in life, so okay. Now, before I get too carried away, I am gonna pre-fill it with the Prestone coolant system flush, and then I'm going to put coolant in it. Okay, so that's tight. Let's do a quick once over. You can see now I got the new radiator in. I need to plug the cooling fans in. Before I forget. Which reminds me of a really good Slipknot song. I'm like, why is this so many hards right now? What am I doing? Why doesn't it freaking go in there? Okay, so many hards. Holy. Get my other electronic fan connector so that practically everything is put back together. Don't have the skid shield, we don't have the mass airflow hooked up, no coolant. It does still need the oil change. So I'm gonna get that Prestone stuff dumped in there. Some coolant, got an oil pump in there. Hitting the button, it keeps shutting the video off, but I'll be glad to edit this. Might have to buy a computer just to make this video work, but I'm hoping that I may actually be onto something here, folks. Camera just keeps shutting off. So yeah, you want to shake well. So it says to flush this with water. We're just going to flush it with coolant. And so how we're going to do it is half the bottle the first time, half the bottle the second time, a full bottle the third time. You really don't need a whole lot. But you also want it to get in there where you need it to go. So the best way to get it where it needs to go is by putting in some and then putting in more. It's like, oh yeah, good thing we did put the bolt into the cooling system reservoir. We still have a battery tray to put back in. This is going to give us our best chance at this. So it is a little redundant work to do this and then take it apart again to flush it again. when I flush it again, I'm flushing it outside by the garage door. So at least that stuff will wash away. We're gonna get the brand new tool out. And the GM one is blue. And it just happens to not fit. Let's take a look here, folks. Says GM, but it says GM, and I'll be damned, that's the one that's not even in here. So we got our brand new coolant quick fill kit and the GM adapter. I was like, oh, it's not even in here. It's already on there, but it's not right. So we're gonna return it back to where the hell it came from, because none of these are right. So that's going back to the store. And we'll be getting money back for that. We're going to try the spill-free radiator funnel kit. I'm going to try to hook this up. It's stuff that I would never use, because I just don't see the point spending money on things that don't actually do anything. In this situation, I think we are looking at something that would help. And the irony here is that these things are just so cool. So the problem with that is it fell down in. So you have to put it on the funnel first. But the more expensive kit, it didn't even come with what I was trying to have it come with. And so I still don't have this put together right. But when I figure it out, it will be cool. Well, I'm not sure how you get this apart. Looks like the front pushes out. That's what we need right there. You do the parts. Let's pause. Probably gonna run out of time for all the stuff that I need to do now. There we go. Was it that many hearts? So we'll say, why so many hearts? But I don't even know where the little cover thing is that goes there to hold it in. Because I put it somewhere. Can't find it. Guess I'll have to keep the master cooling system kit for newer models. It certainly does not go to this thing. Now, however, the cover. So I found the cover. It was in the last place I looked. Okay, now 31. Just find something that will sit in there so that this can be started. This is taking way longer than I would like. Probably gonna leak, I'm not sure. Let's see if I can find a bigger one. Oh, that one almost went in. Hey, 5th time's a charm. I think this is why I never owned one of these. It takes how long to set it up? And how long to actually use the stupid thing? And what's the point? Yeah. So, those are my options, and none of them are good. So, I don't know. Are we doing it backwards? Does it work better this way? No, it doesn't. Still a little, whatever. That's as good as I'm gonna get it. So we're also looking to use this tool because it's not so hard to get the air in and out of it. Why am I spending all day chasing people? I have to spend all afternoon chasing a child around. So yeah, put some more in there. I'm gonna fire her up. Check the oil level. better to flush it with cheap coolant than water anyway. Okay, so now airbox. Air filter is wet now from sitting there where the roof was leaking. Oh my gosh. Well, it didn't leak right out onto the floor. Suppose that's a plus. Suppose that's a plus. Paramax plus. Get these suckers in here. They like to break. Yeah, so my suggestion is to connect this stuff before you get it. Get that clipped in. So from here, we're kind of cruising at this point. Definitely want to check your oil. Make sure you actually have it. So the airbox screws, they don't need to be crazy tight. So when you're doing your airbox, you just put them in there without crushing them all the way down. And you try to get your airbox. It never wants to. Okay, so we're gonna little improvision there, get that connected. It's just a tranny line down there under the airbox. It's putting it at a weird angle, so totally to be expected at this point. Now, it's going to be a long video. It could be the longest video I did not intend on releasing, but if we don't show what we have to do here, and pause real quick while we... So it's probably the hardest I've worked in a long while, to be totally honest. Most of this stuff, I'm not tail chasing. I'm not doing contaminated, drive systems. I'm just the diagnostic specialist and the guy that does inspections, changes parts. I'll get this last airbox screw put in after I pick it up off the floor. So it already has a check engine light for me doing diagnostics, That's running to see if we had misfires, oil pressure, all those things. See, squish it in, get your mass airflow sensor connector. And you just make sure you lock those safety tabs. So we're there. But the most important thing, check the oil. You know, battery, tray. I almost had a shot at getting this out here. It's way easier to put in than it is to take out for some reason. We don't know what that's about. Because I fell, but I actually don't fall very often, ever. So I was up all night last night. Did not sleep. Was not feeling well. I think it's because I knew what I had to do today, and the responsibility of getting this done. It's a big job. Like, it was supposed to be done earlier. And so maybe that had me up all night and nauseous. Yeah, I was thinking about like how to invest in the company, and I figure out the best thing to do is get a dumpster and throw all the stuff away that we don't need here, because we have too much. We have way too much stuff, and I gotta get new cameras, laptop. We got stuff we need. Gotta hustle hard to get that. So like, some people just see money as a challenge, and I just see it as like, if there's something in life you want, you gotta work hard to have it. Okay? So that's impressive, right? But I've seen a toolbox. The whole toolbox was only used for wrenches. The guy had $5,000 worth of wrenches. This is my other box. I got more toolboxes coming. This summer, like when we don't do storage for parked vehicles and engines and transmissions and all this stuff, we get summertime workers. They come in here. They're going to clean the whole place, while I just pick away at what's important. And that's usually video poker. But let's see here. What I had just said we were going to do is check the oil level. There are two clamps that are not properly adjusted. Driver. Yeah, there's two clamps up here. They're not actually adjusted right, and so getting them adjusted is just disgusting. Because I say so. There's really no good way to do something. To just slide it up there or whatever like that. And then open the clamp. And then the same with the radiator connection. It's just hard because it's at an angle. And like we do have the air box and all that stuff, so we're just gonna try to do it at that angle. The best way is to put the clamp at the end of the hose. So you lock it in there. So to engage that right there, I'm just gonna skip recording this because so after all that, it is running. And it seems to run pretty well, actually. Which is surprising for all the stuff that, you know, had kind of gone wrong. So it was 5 quarts of oil that had to be dumped into the engine until it even read a half mark on the dipstick. So the engine can hold like 8.3 quarts with the filter. So that's how much oil it actually put in the cooling system. So we're going to add another quart of oil before we run it. Got a little steam coming off the engine right here. Looks like all the water I had spilled. For the most part though, I think we're gonna luck out. The biggest thing is like you want heat. So the engine's not gonna overheat because I fixed that. But if your car has no heat, you're gonna be cold. So we're gonna put more oil in the oil accessory fill area. Because if you don't keep it full, it's not good. I really wanted to have more accomplished by this time right now because now I have to go pick my son up at school. So let me get one more quart. So I bought 10 quarts of oil because I could see how little coolant there was and how much it had just turned to oil. So like I said, I'm going to put a total of 6 quarts in the engine now. And I did not ever drain it out. The only thing I did was pump out a quart. So I pulled the oil hose off, ran the engine 2 seconds, and made a huge mess, but we did pump out. We did pump out quite a bit. And so I still will change the oil filter, but I really want this engine hot. I really want to do hot flush because it's important to do a hot flush. It may just be equally important to drive halfway home and have a flush done tomorrow with a electric flush tool. So yeah, we're just barely on the dipstick with 6 quarts. So if we check that, and it shows just barely, which should be enough for me to do my... If I know it has 6 quarts of oil in it, that should be enough for me to do diagnostic testing here. Stay tuned. Back together, it's outside running, and it runs perfectly fine, and the customer is happy, and he's headed to New York. On to the next one. Again, the biggest mess I've ever made as a technician, as a business owner, as a tenant at this property. I'm going to think about how I'm going to clean it. But all for that. Which, hey, all for one, all for nothing. I thought putting Speedy Dry on water was a good idea. I just made mud. So, can't wait to edit this, get my first video posted. Thank you to all my subscribers and viewers. And comment anytime you need automotive advice. I'm a one-man band, so I'm going to do this by myself. And we'll go from there.